Well, welcome back after that little interlude. The rain coming down to force the basically abandonment of qualifying number 2 for the Full Sports FIM MiniGP 190cc class. But with a quick interview, we knew that Judd Playstead is on pole position, Jake Page is in second, and Bodie Page on his return to Australia in third.
And then extremely close after that too, Bracky. So it's going to be some interesting racing, as we're about to have with the first race on the program for the vets category. And this is going to be a very interesting one because qualifying was in the dry. This race, extremely different conditions with a wet track.
And Nick Angelopoulos tells me he likes the wet. Watch out, Braxy. I went, okay, at least I'll be watching out from here and not on track.
So they'll be coming up to take up their positions on the grid. No Dino Orchard out there. He said he did have an electrical issue in the earlier race today for the open category, but Alessandro Fogli will line up on pole position. Nick Angelopoulos right next to him. No Orchard on the outside of the front row of the grid. Then we've got Grace Pouch and Wayne Hepburn on the next row. Grace qualifying just ahead of Wayne for the veterans. Ready to go racing. 10 laps the duration.
Here we go. It's going to be the Italian and the Greek on the front row. And both of them get good starts. Alessandro comes across to shut the line on Nick, and he does it so well, but he runs it wide. Nick straight up the inside, moves into first place. He'll get through there. He's got the tyre warmers. He had them turned on this time, so he's got through turn 2 okay.
Well, and the good news is Nick might be good in the wet, but Alessandro, by his own admission, does not like the wet weather at all. So if he can hold on to Nick in these early stages of the race, who knows what Alessandro is going to be able to do towards the end. But look at Hepburn showing his wet weather riding. This is probably right up his alley because he's an extremely talented adventure rider and off-road rider, is Wayne Hepburn. So the slippery conditions...
And he's got enough weight to keep the bit of weight on the tyres as well.
He's got a lot less weight than he did 12 months ago, I'll tell you that. He's looking extremely fit, Wayne Hepburn, and used his experience there to get away from Grace off the line. That was Grace's first actual race start on an Ovale after having not ridden a bike for 5 years.
And yeah, she tried before but stalled it on the grid. Now Nick comes through the lead the way after taking the lead going through that first corner the previous lap. But Alessandro Fogli is right on him at the moment. If a guy that doesn't like riding in the wet compared to a guy that does, Alessandro's doing a mighty fine job at the moment by keeping Nick in check.
Well, he might not like riding in the wet, but the competitive instinct of Alessandro Fogli is going to mean that he'll be camped almost on the ducktail of Nick's machine as they come down on the brakes into turn 5. Very tricky part of the circuit in the dry, so imagine what it'd be like in the wet. A couple of those corners a little bit off camber as well. On the brakes, Alessandro closes up at turn 7.
Well, he's lost a little bit through there. He bit of a front end movement there I saw on the bike as he went through that little left-hander, the second last left-hander on the track.
You can see how much less of the track that the riders are actually using as opposed to when they're in the dry. So 2 laps down, first flying lap for Nick as they come across the line. And it is a 1 minute .788. Fastest lap of the race for Nick on that first flying lap.
Alessandro gets good. Oh, he's down. Just as I said, he got good drive out of turn 1. He's put it on its side as he tipped it into turn number 3. And he's picked it up. That's allowed Hepburn into second position. The ESG machine in second. But there's Nick Angelopoulos. He's way out in front now. He would have heard the scrape marks of Fogli going down the road, so he would know that he's had a little crash. Now it's up to Nick to get that out of his mind and not have the same thing happen to him. I mean, can Hepburn? I don't think he's going to be able to keep Fogli. He might have the red mist and like going into a bright red at the moment with Fogli.
Well, the other thing is Alessandro's got to get his composure back, but Wayne just ran wide at turn 7 there, getting a fraction out of shape as he came through there. Another lap down for Nick, and his lap time on that lap was 2.2 of a second faster than the previous lap. So Angelopoulos just getting faster and faster as this race goes on. So Hepburn down. Hepburn about a second off his fastest lap on that last lap. On board bike number 41.
Very gingerly through there was Alessandro Fogli.
Yep. Not going all the way out onto the white line as he would normally do in the dry.
I think he's going to have him now at turn 5, but does he? No. He thought, yeah, I've got your measure, son. I'll just bide my time here. As Nick Angelopoulos, he's going, this is the loneliest, most boring race I've had. I'm in the lead and no one's giving me a bit of a hurry up.
Well, the other thing is, though, too, coming down that part of the circuit, he was probably able to see the battle between Alessandro and Wayne Hepburn behind, so he knows roughly how much of a lead he's got over Alessandro, who's now moved into second place, getting the better of Hepburn at turn 7.
So I think it might be a bridge too far to try and bridge that gap from his exiting turn 3 as Alessandro comes onto the start-finish straight. Oh, does he crack the 1 minute? No, it's still a 1 minute .8. A 1:02 for Fogley.
Yeah, Fogley also had to get past Hepburn on that lap as well, so that probably cost him maybe a second or two with the dive up the inside. We'll be able to keep an eye on his lap timer on this particular lap and see how he's faring. He's
Just
looking
watching
relatively.
Gracie Pouch go past there. Oh, she runs it a little bit wide on the exit of turn 2.
This is the corner where she is now, where you don't want to be running wide, because that is the corner that goes, well, no runoff, and it also goes off camber on the exit of that corner. It would be very easy to lose the front or the back coming out of there. As Nick comes around to complete another lap. That's half race distance for Angelopoulos, and that lap was a 1:01.3, so he's knocked it back a fraction.
Yeah, he
Just
hasn't
gone into cruise mode out front now, has Nick.
Yeah, well, he's got a lead now of what would it be? About 15 seconds, I presume, wasn't it? 14.8 seconds.
No, actually 16.0 as Alessandro comes across the line, and because that last lap from Alessandro Braxi was a 1:02.5,
Yeah.
so Nick 0.8 faster on the last lap.
I think he's doing damage control as well. He knows he's not going to be able to catch up Nick in these final few laps. So
and also 20
being on the
champion
second position, and then those points, as I was going to say, it'll be very handy come later on in the year.
20 points is 20 points.
Even if you are 18 seconds behind, or 16 at the moment.
Hepburn doing a great job.
Hepburn and Grace Pouch put in their fastest lap of the race for themselves. A 1:03 for Hepburn and a 1:07 for Gracie.
Well, and I think Alessandro is just providing the dangling carrot for Hepburn there in that battle for second and third position, with the Victorian doing a great job to hang on to the Italian, well, the Italian Victorian. The Italian Victorian and the proprietor of a concrete company.
That's very unusual for an Italian. Very unusual for an Italian to have a son called Liam.
Yeah, and they've also, those two have got something in common. They both love concrete.
And I'll tell you what, Hepburn's, like you said, Phil, he's not being embarrassed by Fogley's performance at the moment.
So this, as I said earlier, this plays right into Wayne Hepburn's hands because of his adventure riding prowess. He's done a lot of adventure riding even this year. So
well, isn't he off to the Himalayas soon to try and test his mettle up there?
And he's been doing a lot of training for that as well. So he's looking very fit. And
here comes Nick, pardon me, onto the start-finish line of complete lap number 7, fastest lap of the race.
A 1 minute .1. So getting down to see if he can crack into the 59s. The track does look a little bit drier than what it was at the start of the race too.
A lot drier. You can actually see the black rubber marks on the track now.
So probably a little bit more in the favour of Alessandro Fogley in second position.
And Hepburn again puts.
Oh, Nick's down.
Oh,
Nick is
no.
down at turn 5, Braxi. He's gone down, but he's got enough of a lead that he should be able to pick the bike up and continue on. He has a quick look over his shoulder. And how's that? Nick could win the race and also crash at the same time.
Well, that'll be a first for him, I think, won't it?
Well, he loves a good crash, does Nick? And I wasn't going to put the commentator's curse on him, but I think we can now because he's got his crash out of the way.
Well, he had one yesterday on the second corner, but he didn't want to crash because he got new leathers. He said the old ones, they'd crash about 500 times and still held together.
Well, the new ones have got a fair bit to live up to.
They have. He's already done it once at Oakley, or twice at Oakley a couple of weeks ago.
So there he goes across the line. What was his lap time on that lap, Braxi, with a crash?
A 1:11.
A 1:11 with a crash.
And he still leads by Alessandro, 12 seconds. Oh no, is this the carrot that Alessandro needs with 2 laps to go?
I think
I
he's
don't
just,
think so.
Yeah, he's just too far ahead that he's not up the road that Alessandro can see him because he's still at 2 corners away. So Nick very gingerly through turn 5 on that occasion. Consequently after the crash on the previous lap, he wasn't going to fall for that little trick 2 times in a row.
But he's still got a lap and a half to go, Phil, so anything's possible.
He's got another couple of opportunities,
Yeah.
Braxy.
Yeah. To win and lose and crash.
And look at Hepburn. Look at him on the brakes into turn 7 there. He's certainly putting pressure on Alessandro.
It reminded me of Top Rack. All out.
Have a look at Hepburn's lap time. He set his fastest lap of the race at 1:02.5 on the last lap with that little carrot dangling in front of bike number 41. What's he been able to rip out on this one? A 1:02.379. He's improved once again.
Well, that's a bloody good effort, to tell you the truth.
So Hepburn on his last lap as we wait for Grace to come round and get the last lap board.
And Alessandro's cut that lead down to 9 seconds now. So he's certainly, he's got to keep on the charge because he's got Wayne Hepburn that can smell his exhaust fumes. Look at him under brakes going into turn 5.
Yep, Hepburn is full of confidence. Alessandro is just happy to take the second points. Hepburn's not going to give it to him easy. Look how fast he was on that little change of direction there. Alessandro even has a look over the shoulder
He lost
to
a
see
little bit.
bike number 41 closing in quickly from behind.
He lost a little bit on the exit, did Hepburn, of turn number 6 as Nick Angelopoulos comes through to complete this race of 10 laps and with a victory and a crash.
There he goes. That's Nick's first win for a while in the veterans category. He takes the checkered flag. Alessandro comes across the line in second. A fine ride from Wayne Hepburn in third. And his first podium for a while in the veterans category as well. I reckon there'll be 3 pretty happy riders
And he
after
put
that
101,
one.
a 61 second for Hepburn. So he's, a remark. He's taken about 3 seconds off his time during the course of those 10 laps.
Yeah, that was a great ride from Hepburn with that little carrot being dangled in front of him. He was able to improve his lap times over, 5 times over the last 5 laps.
Yeah.
Every lap was a fraction faster. And Grace Pouch has done a great job here in her first ride in the veterans category.
And is that Alessandro and
I'll tell you
Nick
what,
having
Grace,
a bit of a laugh out there?
but Grace has only just got to qualify for the veterans category, Braxy. Probably the youngest veteran by a considerable margin out there.
I was going to say that, yeah. So that brings today to a close. And looks like the weather forecast for tomorrow is good there, Phil, that we're going to have a fine day all day. So Nick wins it by 8 seconds from Alessandro Fogli with Wayne Hepburn and Grace Pouch in her first race in the class in 4th position.
Nick's still celebrating, riding around, waving. He's pretty happy with that one. I think Rob Mott may have just got a photo to allow Nick to cherish that one well into the night.
Was that of the crash or the actual victory?
Of him celebrating the victory with his hands fist pumping into the air.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we'll shut it up shop up here for the day. And we'll be back from about 9 o'clock tomorrow, I believe.